All right, what's up, everybody? It's Hector from the InsertName FC podcast. The clip that you guys are watching is from our latest episode, episode 158. Um, so I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys get a little snip of the dynamic between me and Edward. All the information is going to be on the description below. So if you guys want to follow InsertName FC on all social media platforms, as well as how you can also listen to us, whether podcasting sites or through our own YouTube channel as well. So go ahead and enjoy this clip.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
This isn't really an overreaction, but just the Saudi Pro League, MLS wins. That's all I gotta say on that one. It kind of, with me and everyone, we were talking about the rise of the Saudi Pro League. We were like, we've seen this happen before. We've seen this dance. We saw it happen with the Chinese Super League. I think Israel was also kind of doing. I don't know if it was Israel or India. I forgot what other league was, but I remember the Chinese Super League because
No, I think it was a Turkish league.
was it okay?
I think
Maybe it
that's
was
where
Turkish league.
I think it was like most of the people were going to Turkey and everything. Like, it wasn't
But
like,
it
oh my
was that
God.
thing where, oh man, look at all this money they're throwing at these players, and now they might compete with Europe with the players that they're bringing in, and there was a moment, I will say, there was a moment that I thought, oh man, the Saudi League actually might be here to stay. But there has been a bunch of rumors. I'm not saying that it is happening, but there has been a lot of rumors that a lot of these guys want out of Saudi Arabia. Like they
And
want to
there,
leave like now. I
can
know
can I give you an example of who?
who
Jordan Henderson.
I was actually gonna bring that up. See, dude, I told you, Edward's my rib. But yeah, go ahead, go off.
It was Jordan Henderson, I believe. I believe even shoot, I was reading it was Jordan Henderson. Uh, I want to say that Cristiano Ronaldo was also a rumor.
I didn't hear
Um,
Cristiano Ronaldo, but I did hear Roberto
no,
Firmino.
he's Roberto Firmino was one, and
Benzema's
then
another one.
Benzema. Benzema's actually so I think Benzema might actually go to Manchester United on a 6 month loan.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of things. I know Manchester United was one that I heard. I also heard Chelsea, which I mean, I think everyone's gonna throw Chelsea because of Chelsea.
Yeah,
And then I think I also heard Arsenal, and then I think Firmino. I heard Fulham. I think Newcastle was a name as well. Also Gabby Vega. Gabby Vega, if you guys don't
oh yeah,
remember,
yeah,
is
yeah,
the
him too.
promising a guy that I actually rate very highly. I think he has a lot of potential. Chose to go to Saudi Arabia because of the money. And so there's been a lot of complaints about these players apparently uh aren't fans of the weather. Go figure. Um uh and then I don't necessarily think that the league is that big of a problem. I mean, the game is still the game. I know Benzema, one of his complaints is that he wants better players around him, which I mean, if you look at Al Nassr, I mean, I think there's a fair argument. But and I think they have like a rule where I think it's 9 foreign players. Like you're only allowed to have 9 foreign players per team, and I think they're working on fixing that rule by making it now 10. Wow, a lot of players. Just bumping it up to one
The
player.
only hey, think about it this way. The only player that's gonna be like the the player that's actually from Saudi probably gonna be the goalkeeper in all teams. Everybody else is gonna be like an outfield player, midfielder, defenders. At
Yeah,
that
dude,
point, I mean,
that's gonna be crazy. Look, I'm gonna I'll say this. Like, I do think that that leagues should be pushing a bigger approach as to developing, their own homegrown talent. Um, and I know this sounds very hypocritical as I'm a Real Madrid fan, and when you look at that roster, there's like almost hardly any Spanish players on that team. But and then even so, if you want to use the Houston Dynamo on me as well, because there's not a lot of Americans that are playing on that team as well. But
Hmm.
I do think that there is like a certain obligation that the league has to develop their national team's players. And once again, this isn't even an old man yells at cloud. I just think that this is just logical sense, especially if you're developing youth academies. But I mean, uh, but kind of what we saw with the Chinese Super League, which was that was one of the things that they were doing was like, hey, that there's a limit of foreign players that you can have on your rosters, and the Saudi League already had it. I mean, nine. That does sound like a lot of players, to be fair, but I mean, when you're going after the big players, like going after Neymar, which I mean, he's not playing because he's injured. But when you're going after Cristiano Ronaldo, Kareem Benzema, when you're going after potential players like Gabi Vega, like when that's still that nine players, that may, especially when you're filling out like basically a super team, I guess you can say,
Yeah.
of older players. Um, yeah, you're not gonna be able to. It's gonna become an arms race over there, and I think where adding an additional player may sound not that like, oh my God, now 10 players. But that is still pretty big. Like Edward said, like you can have an all-star roster and just have your Saudi Arabian goalkeeper. But yeah, I think like what happened with the Chinese Super League, it was eventually gonna happen with the Saudi League. Um, and it's happening now. So like you're seeing the issue, but I think like the level of competition I don't think is like that big of a deal because I feel like the players that chose to go to Saudi Arabia, they knew what they were getting themselves into when they received that lucrative amount of money. Um, which is the same thing for the guys who went to the Chinese Super League. Like you knew what you got yourself into when you accepted that paycheck. Um, but I think
Basically, let's put it this way. Basically, it's like sexy signings, but also you already knew if you were playing in the Saudi league, you know damn well they weren't going to call you up for the World Cup if you were playing in one of those leagues because it's like they're not one of the major big leagues that it's powerhouse. You're not in the Italian league, you're not in the EPL, you're not in the Liga, you're not even in a German league. So more than likely, like that's where all the World Cup players who play in clubs come from. You don't see them picking people like. Let's put it this way: Bato. We both know he was cold before he went to Shanghai. And after when he went to Shanghai, we never ever saw him play for Brazil. World Cup, friendlies, anything. We never saw him play. Like we had figured like this dude just fell off the face of the earth, but he was
mhm,
just in China. So that's one. Oscar, same thing. You know, once he was the one that he was the one that scored the only goal against Germany in that travesty of a game, and yet we were thinking, okay, he still has a few good years left. You know, he still got moves. He went to China. Boom, he disappeared as well. So it's like the if the federations, I guess, are looking at players who are also playing in the big leagues. Hell, you might even play in the MLS and they'll actually call you up depending
mhm.
on where you're from. You know, but when once you go to the Saudi league, the Chinese leagues, the Turkish Super League, like stuff like that, I don't think they'll look at you anymore like how you were like, oh, this dude was a beast when he was in the EPL. Now I look at him, he's still a beast, but he's a beast in a lower division. It's like saying this dude's a beast at playing in the first division of or like MLS, but now he's playing on Sunday leagues and he's a beast. I don't think I'm gonna pick him up anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But like I said, level of competition, I don't necessarily think was like the big deciding factor. But like, I know for certain with Jordan Henderson, um, obviously the laws in Saudi Arabia are going to be a factor because obviously, uh, more towards like the laws for women in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Um, So they, you know, it's not necessary. And this is another thing that I kind of thought could happen, but I didn't want to say it because that would make me seem like a dick. But like when you go to these countries, you have to respect their cultures. Like I think I understood more if you were a Muslim player. Like obviously you kind of already understand the the customs and ideals of a country like Saudi Arabia. So like I don't hear that complaint from Karim Benzema, or at least I haven't seen any rumors that Karim Benzema is like bothered by that because obviously he's Muslim. And so but like obviously for someone that's not well informed of the Islamic culture, um, you're gonna think it's kind of ridiculous, especially you know, whereas you come from a culture where that's not that's not how you do it. You don't it's not done that way. So, and this isn't me trying to take a jab at like the laws of Islam and the viewings of like the Islamic culture. Obviously, what you believe is what you believe, and clearly people, go abide it. You know what I mean? But I can see someone that's an outsider who is used to living in a certain way having trouble conforming to that. Um, and maybe they can, the Saudi League could view like some sort of exemption for them, but then that probably could also lead to a whole can of worms, which I don't see them doing in any way. But I think because that was another factor which a lot of these players are like, hey, my wife isn't really comfortable here because of the laws here, so it's probably another reason why they want to push out of the Saudi League.
Yeah, and I mean, I like I think we all said it, and even with the whole, I don't know if it's still going on with the whole Cristiano Ronaldo thing, hugging that one guy that he took a picture, he hugged him, gave him an autographed T-shirt and stuff, and then supposedly he was like, oh, they're because it was a public display of affection kind of stuff. They were like, oh, um, you're gonna be fined or you're gonna face time in jail. Like what, dude? Like what? Like it's I mean, I don't want to say they're ridiculous rules, but I mean, I feel like they're just over the top to where it's like they really don't approve of certain.
Yeah, I mean, and
Um,
that's their culture. I honestly, like, I'm not gonna
that's what I'm
say
saying.
that it's
I
wrong,
can't
right or
judge.
wrong. That's just what they believe in, and like kind of like what I said earlier. Like to them, it's not crazy, but to us, yeah, it's like come on, this is a little ridiculous. Um, and obviously because we're used to viewing things in a different way, and like I said, these people have already been abiding to these rules way before we even existed. So like, I mean, but this also could have been a potential issue, especially for a lot of people that are in relationships or in marriages with people that are models. Like just gonna point that out. Um, or have children with models, and so yeah. So I think that like I'm not maybe they make their adjustments to Saudi League to be more accommodating. Do I see it happening? Maybe, maybe not. I don't really know. I can't tell you. I don't represent the government of Saudi Arabia. But if that doesn't get corrected though, I could see a lot of guys start getting turned off by the money's not going to be enough for them to come to the Saudi League. And I mean, we're seeing it now where, Antoine Griezmann is more interested in going to the MLS. Luka Modric, he said no to going to the Saudi League. I think he got offered a lot of money to go play for Al Nassr, and he said, "Nah, I'm good." I don't know where he's going, but I just know he's not going to Saudi Arabia. But like more and more, you're starting to see more players like, yeah, I just rather not go there.
Yep,
Which is what happened with the Chinese Super League. Like we've seen me and Edward have seen this dance plenty of times now.
yep.
So I mean, I think we all saw that coming. Am I saying that the MLS is now going to get all these players? No, I just want to be cocky because I know people were trying to compare the MLS to the Saudi League, but which that's apples and oranges. Um, but at the end of the day, like this is what happens, man. Like it's going to take a lot more than money to get players to buy in the league, and especially when it's not necessarily the league's fault. It's I think once again, this isn't me saying that it's because of the league. I think it's just because of the rules that are in place in Saudi Arabia is what's going to make it hard for these players to want to go to those kind of destinations. Once again, unless you are someone that is Muslim, which, like for example, Kareem Benzema, I thought it made a lot of sense for him to go to Saudi League because once again he's a Muslim, and it's easier for him to conform to those laws in Saudi Arabia, um, and so, but but for him, I think it's just because he wants to improve his chances of competing with Al Ittihad or no all I don't know the team. I don't know the team they plays for right now. I lost memory. All I know is Al Nassr. I think it's Al Ittihad, which is crazy because he plays with Conte. But apparently I guess he wants more better players. But that's neither here or there. And but till that gets corrected, I think that we're gonna start seeing more guys opt out of the opportunity going to the Saudi League, even as enticing as that money is going to be. They're gonna not go there. Um, but yeah. So that was my little overreaction. Saudi League looks like it's falling apart. Um, maybe not falling apart is the right word. I just think it's going kind of how I expected it was going to go. Probably a little bit sooner than I thought. Because I mean, Chinese Super League, we were talking that was a people were there was guys in FIFA, big players that were still in FIFA that I was buying off of the Chinese Super League when so yeah, I bet money isn't the only way to get players. That's all I'm saying. There's more to it. And you tried Saudi Arabia. You tried.